Let me talk to you for a minute. When I first started looking for bridges, there wasn't many options. Today, it just seemed like there are many options to go from paramedic to RN instead of just a paramedic to RN associate's degree bridge. What I'm going to do is over a series of the next several podcasts, I want to break down the differences between the different options and I want to compare them against each other. So, hey, buckle up and welcome to my podcast. Your options are really based on your current education. The more education you got, the more options you got. For example, if you don't have anything except, let's say, uh, maybe a Con Ed paramedic certification, then you're going to have less options than someone who has a bachelor's degree because they can do an accelerated BSN or they can do a master's direct entry with a bachelor's or even a master's degree. So what I wanted to do really is just kind of tell you my story and you can see kind of like how I navigated because I think the thought process is probably going to be the biggest thing. And so just to kind of tell you my story before we get into the series, remember my original plan was just PA school. So I had already started working on my associate's degree in EMS. I was a Con Ed paramedic and just got married and decided, okay, here I go. Let me go ahead and go to school. And this was around the fall of 2017. And I did everything part-time because the grades were important to me. So I didn't want to really rush and just try to hurry up and get it done. I needed enough time to really focus on my study. So I did basically one or two classes at a time. But it was around this time that I decided to switch up. I ran into one of my coworkers named Tim, who was on the track that I was, except this was his third attempt to get into PA school and he didn't get in. And he just kind of mentioned hey, have you ever heard of a nurse practitioner? And during that time, I knew what a nurse practitioner was, but I really wasn't familiar with what they did. But I knew they were mid-level practitioners. Once I went back and really started um, looking and exploring what a nurse practitioner was, that's when I really decided, hey, nursing is the switch I want to make. But honestly, I didn't realize how competitive it was. So one day I was working EMS with a guy who was working EMS PRN, and I knew he had mentioned that he was a nurse and he was an ER nurse. And I asked him, hey, how'd you become a nurse? I'm thinking about switching over to nursing. And he told me he went through a paramedic to RN bridge. And I had heard that an online college, I'm just not going to mention their name, had one and people was talking about it. And it was really a hassle. It was really expensive. And I just didn't want to go that route. So, but he told me he had went through a paramedic to RN program, and that kind of interests me. And I asked where he went, and it just so happened that where he went to school for his paramedic to RN bridge was the community college I was going through to finish my associates in EMS. He told me they didn't have that program anymore, and so I was a little disappointed, but it kind of got my brain kind of going a little bit. So first thing I did was I went home, I started Googling, and I came up with a bridge that was a paramedic to RN bridge. It was about an hour away from my house. But the problem was for that one was that was a crap load of classes that I was going to need. I was going to need about 4 more classes when I finished my associates. You had to have your state and national registry, which I had. And so I just kind of, hey, I ain't for that one. So I had been hearing through the grapevine that other community colleges were going to open up paramedic to RN bridges. And so I just kind of took the bull by the horn and I just emailed them and I asked them, hey, were you guys thinking about opening up one? Some responded back, no, some responded back that they're thinking about it. And so I just kept on track. I was going to go into this one that I originally said that I was going to go into. About 6 months later, I had got wind that another bridge had opened up. And so when I looked at this particular bridge, I only was going to need about two more classes. So I kind of aimed for that one. That one was about like maybe an hour and 15, 20 minutes away. So it was a little closer. So I aimed for that one. And during that time, I was having a discussion with one of my coworkers who was looking at going nursing, and she just told me that another one had just opened up. And so when I researched it, I looked it up, and sure enough, another one had popped up. And the requirements for this one was you need an associate's degree in EMS. Bingo. That was right around the time when I was kind of getting close to finish, and I was only going to need one class outside of it. So that's the one that I kind of aimed for. And lo and behold, they had just started their first class. Once I finished my associate's degree, I applied to that one. I got in, and that's when I graduated from in 2021. And I was the third class that actually went through that program. I learned a lot in that process. And so today, there are about four of them around me within an hour and a half drive. And some of them have open seats. And I think what I just want to kind of tell folks is I've coached people who've gotten into paramedic to RN bridges and paramedic, really just kind of a direct entry master's to bachelor's accelerated programs. And these people I coached, they kind of took the same kind of role that I took, was just be more proactive. And keep in mind, I was in your shoes. So the tips I have for you real quick before we go into the series was listen to the next few episodes and find your place, especially with your education. Because with the bachelor's degree, you have a lot more options than I did as being a con ed medic. Also, start to work now on your prereqs. Don't rush. Focus on your grades. One advantage that I had was the fact that being that I was tracking for PA school, I really concentrated on my grades. And I think that was the most important thing. It wasn't a rush factor for me. Even though I was in my 40s, I still wanted to take that approach of not redoing a class. I needed to make sure I had all A's. So if I needed to take one class that semester, I concentrated on one class that semester. Also, call colleges to inquire. I emailed every county around me to try to see what they had available. You'll be surprised what you find out. Also, things may change. One might open up near you. But the key is make sure that you're ready. You have to be ready for an opportunity. If you just sit back and wait on one to open up before you even start the process, then you're going to miss the boat. Also, lastly, age don't matter. Don't be in a rush. I graduated nursing school at 49. I wasn't the oldest person in my class, by the way. So there's no rush. Just make sure you focus on your grades. But over these next few podcasts, what I'm going to do is just kind of focus on the differences. I'm going to compare them. And so you can see what's right for you. Because believe it or not, a paramedic to RN associate's degree may not even be your best option. So buckle up and let's get to it. As always, hey, make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at paramedic2RNinfo. Remember the number 2.